a little 3-round session, and then we're going to get right into the live stream. Round number 1. We'll go right around minute number 1. Minute number 1, we'll start going. Ten seconds out. Round number 1. Let's go. Round number 2 coming up. Doing a little short 3-round session, and then we're going to get right into the live stream. All right, one more round. sure. Look at this. Look at this. Toon Boy says, on the streets or in prison, ain't none of y'all can last a second in with me. Nobody knows you, though. Nobody knows you. Nobody cares. You ain't got no motion going on. So you just decide you want to come in here and, brother, I'm doing boxing training. This isn't even half of what I could do to you. Okay? The spinning attacks, the wrestling, all of that, the different things I could do to you. Come on now. I'm only showing you my boxing side right now. I could do a little bit of everything. Brick says Napoleon versus Trump, who wins the fight? Prime for prime. I don't really like these hypothetical questions. I'll go with Napoleon. He probably has more of a warrior's mentality than that of Trump. You know, he said, I said in me. Okay. Wouldn't last a second in me. Okay. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Okay, I guess you're sort of hinting at something, you know, rather incredibly GAY. So, all right. Hey, hold on just a second, guys. I'm going to be on camera in just a second. Just about to head up into the studio and get this thing cracking for y'all because, yeah, we got a pretty interesting topic of discussion that we're going to do regarding the UFC, why the UFC can't be canceled in any kind of way. So if you guys will just excuse me for a second, I will be on in less than 60 seconds. Hold on just a second. All right, y'all. Here we go. All right. All right, so there we go. About 15 minutes into this live stream, we should be able to start it. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. All right, hold on a second. Let's too much sunlight. There we go. Too much sunlight beaming in my face. Okay. How's that? I think that should be perfect right there. All right, that should be perfect right there. Okay. So, here we go, guys. I guess I'm going to start this stream off in the 16-minute mark, and then we'll continue from there. Okay. So, 16 minutes, live stream starts. Okay. Just putting a little bit of some timestamps here, because it is important to put timestamps if you want people to come back and watch your stuff, even if they're just watching that one portion of that timestamp. It's still a view by the end of the day. Okay, so here we go. 16 minutes into the live stream starts, right? Do you guys remember when the UFC was very inclusive? If you remember back in the days, they were trying very hard to get their foothold into the mainstream media, and for good reason. Obviously, the whole entire goal was what you had seen out of the White House party. Oops, that's one of my own commercials right there. What do you know? I got a Credit One Bank and a kayak vacation ad as well. All right, so ultimately, that is what you are in media for, right? Ultimately, that is what the UFC has been doing over the years. They've been trying to be an inclusive company. And why is that? Because that is how you reach mainstream level, my man. In order to reach mainstream level, you have to capture everyone's attention, but you also have to accommodate for everybody. All right. Dana White used to do all types of media, right? Would not even sleep at night, just go to one radio station after the next TV station, after the next podcast, and whatever it is that he can do to elevate the UFC, right? Well, mission accomplished, because now the UFC has what you call loyal fans. And who are those loyal fans exactly? Well, those loyal fans, believe it or not, happen to be right-wing MAGA supporters, at least a strong vast majority of them, because let's be honest, right? The reason why Donald Trump is in office right now is because of the UFC's media machine. The media machine of the UFC normalized Donald Trump. The media machine of the UFC gave Donald Trump a status in terms of, well, promotion, in terms of helping his case, in terms of helping his overall public image. Because by the end of the day, you have to remember, even though UFC is a sports company, they are also an entertainment company, and in turn, that also comes with having lawyers and public relations agents, probably the best that you can find in Hollywood, right? Considering the fact that they are working with Endeavor. Endeavor is obviously a Los Angeles, California company owned by Ari Emanuel, which in and of itself is controversial. But understand this, right? There was a time where if you were to say anything or do anything wrong in the UFC, okay, you would get kicked out, you would be reprimanded, you would be fined. Okay, there was a point where athletes were getting fined for smoking weed, and a point where athletes were even missing a portion of their career because of smoking weed, right? I.e., Nick and Nate Diaz. Well, Nick Diaz, to be exact, right? Well, now the tide has changed a little bit, right? The UFC doesn't have to accommodate to absolutely anybody. They don't have to accommodate to anybody, okay? Not Michelle Obama, not the Democrats, not the communities that I dare not mention. Swamp says, I like the UFC, but I don't like what Hokit said. It was a bit funny, but that was disrespectful. Correct. So here's the thing, right? Michelle Obama, I heard, is trying to sue Josh Hokit for this. And I gotta tell you, I think she's gonna have a rude awakening. Okay? She's gonna have a rude awakening finding out that, you know what, the whole world doesn't love you just because all of Black America loves you, to the point where sometimes it's just sickening, right? The type of loyalty that they have towards the Obamas. I mean, it is just, it's repulsive in my humble opinion. Theodore Roosevelt Swamp says, the UFC Unk says, Scandabigo, that is so not true. Napoleon is the greatest warrior. Mike says they don't care about weed. Not anymore, apparently. Apparently, you can smoke in the fight week, right? That you can smoke in the fight week so long as you don't smoke on fight day or just prior to you entering the ring or the cage. MMA Unk says, definitely Napoleon. He's been to war in battles. Trump only fights with his urge to eat McDonald's. Wow. Mike says, oh, who cares about weed? Okay. Scandabigo says, Napoleon is the greatest warrior of all time. Not at the end of his career, but that kind of shows you some similarities to many fighters, right, at the end of their career, right? They're not necessarily, winning battles at the end of their career. But yeah, Napoleon was hanging in there until the end. is the best warrior leader. Okay, Theodore Roosevelt is the best warrior leader. MMA Unk says it's defamation. She can sue him. But can she win? Obviously, she can sue him, right? Michelle Obama can definitely sue Josh Hokit. The question is, can she win? And let's ask the wife of Rocky, Adrian, what are Michelle Obama's chances of suing Josh Hokit? You can't win! There it is. IDK says, TJIF, thank God it's Friday. Yes, it is. It is a beautiful Friday. Nick Diaz suffered so fighters could blaze. Man, you know what? In that case, yes, he is sort of a weed martyr for UFC and MMA fighters, right? Because, man, listen, if you've been in enough combat sports gyms, you'll know a lot of guys that smoke weed, right? The only thing is that Nick and Nate Diaz are just so blatant about it. Oh, look at me. I'm smoking weed, guys. I'm from Stockton. I look so gangster. Anyways, yeah. Um uh okay, how do you wake Lady Gaga up in the morning? Poker face. Oh, okay. Okay, you got jokes there, dog. Shout out to Dog 320, man. Let me know what part of the world you are from. So, MMA Unk says, yes, she can win. It's a slander and defamation because it was in a public space and people are not made aware that he's playing a character. All right. So here's the thing, right? The UFC is a combat sports league. It's a sports league, period. But she can't sue him because there is a character being played here, and the UFC can also consider themselves as an entertainment company. Let's not forget about that. The UFC can absolutely call itself an entertainment company. They are an entertainment company, and I would imagine that is the defense he's going to go by if they can even pass through, you know, the judge's approval on this one. Scandibigo says blacks supporting Obama blindly is the same clan mentality that Jews and Muslims have. Okay, well, here's the thing, right? Here's the problem with your statement, Scandibigo. You're correct. The first sentence that you're saying here is absolutely correct. Now, here's the problem, right? When you say the same clan mentality that the Jews and Muslims have, in what sense? Because what is it that the Jews are necessarily monolithic about? What are the Muslims monolithic about? You're not explaining that part. You see, you're only explaining the part to where you believe that, well, okay, not that you believe or not that it is, but there is a portion of this black community that does blindly support Obama, right? So, specifically, what is it that Jews and Muslims support monolithically that can be compared to the same problem as a portion of black Americans or black people, period, around the world who support Obama, right? Because you can't create a false equivalence without a description of a specific action or a specific verb that they are committing, right? So, yeah. You're going to have to elaborate a little bit more on that just so I can get, you know, a better sense of clarity. Let's look at and see if it is official that the Obamas are suing Josh Hokit. Let's see what is the reality to this and if there is any truth to it, if there's any motion, rather. Okay, so former First Lady Michelle Obama is not suing UFC fighter Josh Hokit, okay? And this is according to Channel 10 News. I believe this is an ABC company, ABC affiliated company, so ABC. All right, according to ABC 10 News, all right, former First Lady Michelle Obama is not suing UFC fighter Josh Hokit, despite widespread rumors spreading across social media. Fact-checking organizations like Snopes have verified these claims are entirely fictional. All right? So there it is. Aaron Mega says, you can't sue for freedom of speech. There you go. Right? There you go. The only way that this would ever be plausible for the courts to do anything about it is if if it gets so bad that for whatever reason, Michelle Obama's whole entire network is declining, right? It could be, as insignificant as, let's say, six figures, right? That would probably be an insignificant loss in comparison to the current network of the Obama family, right? But that's still $100,000 of lost net worth is still enough to sue Josh Hokit. Here's the thing: in order to sue him, okay, let's say you lost about, I don't know, $100,000 or whatever, right? Is it worth it? Because now you're going to be spending, and again, this is just a hypothetical number. These are not real numbers that I'm pulling out of a particular source or a particular real tangible number that we're counting or anything like that. I'm literally speaking about just a hypothetical number per se, right? So just with that number alone, you're going to be spending more money for your lawyers just to get that done, because guess what? The UFC also has money, probably even more than the Obamas, who knows, right? But it's basically the battle of the billionaires, right? And they're going to be battling through their army of lawyers. Okay, go do this, go do that. Oh, find discovery requests for this. Find all types of information on that, right? It would be a lot, and quite honestly, Josh Hokit is insignificant in comparison to the Obamas. Okay, and I'm not saying this because I'm an Obama fan or I'm a Josh Hokit fan. I'm not a fan of neither of them. If we're just speaking on true facts, I would say that the Obamas are far more famous than Josh Hokit, and the level of fame and the level of notoriety that the Obamas have, I think it is so significant in comparison to Josh Hokit that Josh Hokit is, I mean, yes, a much more famous example, but literally no different than random trolls online that spew this on an everyday basis about Michelle Obama or the Obama family and whatnot, right? The QAnon phenomenon that's going on in the internet. If you guys remember, yeah, the QAnon people. Scandabigo says Jews and Muslims would never turn their own people into the police in Western countries. They live by their own clan rules. Okay, that is true. That is very true, Scandabigo. There have been moments in France where they had, let's say, runaway criminals or prisoners that have escaped ran to the projects or the housing council estates as they know them to be in Europe or at least in England, right? They ran to these council estates in Paris, in the suburbs. They call them suburbs of Paris. Obviously, suburbs in the United States means you live in an affluent neighborhood. Suburbs in Paris means you live in a hood. So these guys, right, mostly Muslim criminals of North African descent, they would run away from prison or run away from a crime, and they would run to these buildings, and they would be supported by the people and harbored by the people. Yes, you are right about that. You are right about that. That is a clan mentality. Obviously, the boys, they have the same mentality as well. You look no further than Ben Shapiro for that example, of course. But okay, explain to me how that's the same as black folks supporting Obama. Yeah, explain to me how that's the same. Because I get what you're saying, but I'm trying. I guess I'm just trying to pick your brain. I'm trying to pick your brain, and of course, all for the spirit of banter, all for the spirit of informal conversations, and all for the spirit of just keeping the chat going. So, yeah, please explain to me how that would be the same as black folks blindly supporting President Obama. Let me know. Let's have a discussion on that. Human Made says, I don't know if you heard, Kyrie, about the Tibetan man. Self-immolation outside Uno building, NYC, was pronounced later dead at the Bellevue Hospital. Huh, the Tibetan man. Okay, let's look up and see what you're talking about with this one. The Tibetan man. Okay. So this is what my homie here is talking about. Let's go with CNN, the most trusted source in news. Okay, so man with a Tibetan flag dies after setting himself on fire in front of the UN's New York headquarters. Okay. Editor's note. Okay, so this is interesting. Right here on the CNN's website, it says the editor's note: help is available if you or someone you know is struggling with unaliving thoughts, mental health matters. In the U.S., call text 988. Okay, so it's a suicide hotline. Okay, so a man holding a Tibetan flag has unalived himself after setting himself on fire outside the United Nations headquarters in New York on Thursday in an apparent protest against Chinese rule over Tibet. Okay, so law enforcement responded to a 911 call at around 6:30 p.m. Observed a 52-year-old man with severe burns across his body. A New York City Police Department spokesman told this to CNN. Now, the man was taken to the hospital and later pronounced dead. The spokesperson said the government in exile of Tibet and an activist in New York who knew him named the man as Lubga Ranzin, also known as Lubza Paldin. Okay, so yeah, that doesn't sound like a typical Chinese name. Usually, if you have names that sound very Eastern European or Central Asian or something like that, yeah, they probably live in the outskirts of China, not necessarily in the main parts of it. Tim Slim says, "Good afternoon. Silly question from Family Road Trip. Would you rather have your hands feel always sticky or always wet?" I suppose I don't mind wet hands, but it would, yeah, obviously, as long as it's out of clean water. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. And God bless you and your family trip. I hope you guys are having a safe trip. And yeah, God bless your way. And, may all of you guys be safe and, have a wonderful experience on top of it. So, shout out to Tim Slim. Let me know what part of the world you are from, and also where you guys are going. Where is your family trip taking you today? And I hope you guys build wonderful memories with it. So shout out to you, my man. All right, so on to the bad news of things. A video live streamed from Facebook account under the name that shows a man holding the Tibetan flag stopping along First Avenue opposite of the UN headquarters and being engulfed in flames. He collapsed to the ground as cars passed by, with flames eventually put out by two men with fire extinguishers. All right, so a separate video posted on the same Facebook account around the same time as live stream shows the man calling for Tibetans to work together for the independence of Tibet and, in quotation, never forget their heritage and identity. He also accused the Chinese government of creating policies aimed at destroying Tibetan identity, culture, and language. Now, the rare incident comes just days after China enacted the Ethnic Unity Law that expands mandates over use of Chinese language in schools and governments in ethnic minority regions and calls for the further Sinicization of religion. Okay. Tibetan and human rights activists have voiced alarm over the sweeping new law, which they fear will further deepen the cultural erasure of ethnic minorities across China. Beijing says the law protects the rights of all ethnic groups. Anyways, China's ruling Communist Party has governed Tibet since 1951. Beijing insists that Tibet has been part of Chinese territory for centuries. The Tibetan flag is banned in China and viewed as a symbol of Tibetan independence. Dozens of self-immolations have been connected with protests against China's rule over the Tibetan in recent decades, according to the government in the exile of Tibet. However, it is highly unusual for Tibetan activists to self-immolate in the U.S. So, There you go. Savachi Financial says, Yiki Yee. Shout out to you, my man. Shout out to Savachi Financial, my homie in real life. Let's see here. Human Mate says, Kyrie, you know Sumadarji, Tibetan Eagle. Yes, the UFC fighter. He is suppressed under China's communism law. They are trying to wipe his name. His name is Suman Dureji. Interesting. Okay. MMA Unk says, that's pretty effed up. China is fully true. China, as such, an old culture, should respect other ancient cultures. Well, here's the thing, right? A lot of people sort of dismiss the fact that China has imperialistic goals, right? Because let's be honest about this, they're not white. Okay, they're not a white country, so people often dismiss the idea that, hey, you know what? I don't think they're out here to really, punish anybody or out here to rule over anyone or take over anyone. Look, they just do it a lot differently. Okay. Obviously, the white man, the way that he f's with you is through paper, through laws, and things of that nature, right? Whereas, other groups of people, minorities, if they want to, mess you up, they'll just, come to your house and do a drive-by. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. But with China, the way that they do things in a very smart and methodical way, but it doesn't dismiss it as any less than what you would consider, conventional colonization, right? They do a lot of colonizations in China, in Africa, right? You look at all the businesses and all the resources that they take over in Africa. That is a form of imperialism. Look, every culture is, and every group of people is capable of imperialism, including us Muslims. I mean, of course, do we want the world to be Muslim? Yeah, why would we not want people to come to the truth? Obviously, but some would sort of consider that as a form of imperialism as well, just depending on who you think the good guys are. Aaron Maga says, I believe Josh Hockett will end Chama's career. Savachi Financial says, free to bet. Yes, free to bet. Human Made, at Human Made, the UFC fighter. Yes, that's who we're talking about. Savachi Financial says, free Sacramento. What? He says, Human Made says, wrong zoo. MMA Unk says, shit, didn't know. Savachi Financial says, free Oakland, free Stockton, free Rancho. Yo, my man. Free Cali, killer Cali, he said. MMA Unk says, yeah, but they shouldn't. They should do it like Iran, that embraces different ethnicities that live in Iran. Free Tibet, free Canada, Savachi Financial says. MMA Unk says, yeah, you're right. They are very imperialistic. Free Trump. I think he is free. He had a little bit of that, those criminal cases for a little bit, but obviously, our man 47 is, back in the office, kicking it and obviously bringing us a UFC card. Imagine if Trump never won and never got to beat his case. He ended up going to prison, right? Man, yeah, he would have been spending prison for the rest of his life. Just like Big U, by the way. By the way, Big U could be walking free, by the way, right? The judges and the courts messed up bad, right? Messed up bad. I should probably do like a separate live stream for that. But John Dong, shout out to John Dong, the man that made Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins, which was an absolute squash match, as you would have imagined. Savachi Financial says, free Trump from Netanyahu. And you know what? Trump, I think, is already, sort of telling Netanyahu to kick rocks, man. Living Life says, FDTJ. F Donald J. Trump. Okay, I think that's what FTTJ means. JT is, F Donald Trump. Scandabigo says, Tibet preach minimalism rather than consumerism. Not good for business and human slave consumerism. Okay, so that's interesting. There is something to be said about that, right? John Dong with the emoji. Livin says, all of us would be much better off had he gone to prison as he should have. That you know what? Why? Why do you think we would have been better off living life? Please explain on the comment section below how it would have benefited America had Trump been in prison. Because here's the thing, right? There was a point where people said, "Oh, Trump is shilling for them boys with the little hats and things of that nature." Well, now look at him and JD Vance, man. JD Vance went out of his way to say, "Oh, you know what, man? Now everybody is calling everything anti-Semitism to the point where people don't even know if they're criticizing Israel or the actual religion itself." Man, good on my fellow Marine JD Vance for that one. By the way, he John Dong says beating Kyle Dawkins like that is impressive. By the way, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. I think I served right around the same time as JD Vance, right? You know what I mean? He was stationed right around the same time as I was in North Carolina in 2004. So, a little fun fact, and obviously that's a given. Me and the vice president are right around the same age. I think that's cool. I think that it's cool that we got a vice president that's around my age, because all these old dudes, look, in the Middle East, right? The Middle East loves to give powers of positions to younger people, and rightfully so, because the Middle East is a very young population, right? Just by the sheer numbers alone, and then on top of the fact that we're always constantly having kids, people are always constantly getting married, right? So it's a very young population. Mohammed bin Salman, same age as me, right? Look at what he's doing with Saudi Arabia and his projects that he has going on with Turkey Al Sheikh. Savachi Financial says free India. You know what? I'm erasing that comment. Out of all the countries that you say free, that one I'm removing that one. No, I'm gonna remove that comment, okay? Because yes, free Canada, free Cali, free Rancho, all that, but free India, no, thank you. Okay, what is that mail thing that you were saying here? Hold on here. What did you say here? Beta. Are you trying to say beta mail, or what is this? It doesn't say. He says LOL. He said MIPA. Make India oh, okay. Make India, I think it's what I think it is. He says, "You mean make India Pakistan again?" Ah, yes, yes, of course, yes, of course, yes. Savachi Financial would say that. Yes, make India Pakistan again. Okay, I can't say that I disagree with that. You know what I mean? I can't say that I disagree with that. I think they should. Why not? Why not? Yeah, make India Pakistan again. Why not? They would probably be better off, right? The streets would probably be cleaner. There would be less up in the streets, right? Yeah, for real. If India became Pakistan, I guarantee you that country would be a lot cleaner. Sorry, yeah, sorry. I know that doesn't sound yeah, sorry. I don't know what to tell you guys. But yeah. Anyways, all right. So I wanted to get to this topic. Well, I mean, I did get to this topic, but okay. Okay. So the UFC and MAGA connections, that's sort of the main theme of this live stream, right? So, as you know, the UFC and MAGA's connections are deeply intertwined, right? Number one, it's characterized by mutually beneficial alliance between Donald Trump and the organization's leadership, all right? And its combat sports fan base also is something that you have to understand. Um, I watched a documentary on PBS last night, right, regarding Saudi Arabia's um, alliance with the Trump administration, right? What is their whole entire relationship about? And I think their whole entire relationship is predicated on transactional um, uh, benefits, transactional benefits. Um, the United States benefits from Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia benefits from the United States, in particular, buying weapons from them so that they can fight the Houthis in Yemen and anywhere else in the world that is, a threat to Saudi Arabia's national security of some sort. Savachi Financial says free Colby. I think that he's free already. I think that he retired from MMA, in particular, also the UFC, but he is still competing in wrestling. So, yeah, so the combat sports fan base, I need you to understand it really did help Donald Trump rehabilitate his image, right? Now, here's something you got to understand about this transactional relationship, right? The relationship ranges from personal friendships and financial partnerships to high profile political endorsements and unprecedented sports political events, obviously pertaining to the White House, okay? So, the bedrock of the UFC and MAGA's connection is the long-standing friendship between Dana White and Donald Trump. Now, Dana White has repeatedly credited Trump for hosting early UFC events in Atlantic City casinos back in 2001 when other venues refused to support the struggling sport of MMA, which was labeled at the time human cockfighting. All right? At the time, in return, White has become a prominent political surrogate for Trump. All right, delivering primetime speeches at the Republican National Conventions, introducing Trump at major campaign events and things of that nature, right? Now, the fighters in the athletic arm of MAGA, all right, many UFC fighters and high-profile figures within MMA have publicly aligned themselves with the MAGA ideology, in particular, Colby Covington that Savachi Financial has just mentioned, right? Several fighters, prominent fighters, such as Jorge Masvidal, Colby, have actively campaigned for Trump, utilizing anti-establishment, hyper-masculine, nationalistic rhetoric that mirrors the MAGA platform. All right, so Trump's campaign frequently leverages the connections to appeal the UFC's core demographic of young working-class men. All right, and here's the thing about that. Back in the 90s, most of these guys that are MAGA now would never be Republicans. Free Jorge, free Nick, no boxing, no life says free Diddy. Oh man, we got everybody looking to free everybody now, huh? Well, how about free Big U, right? I'm going to do a story on that eventually, right? Because I think Big U has a good chance of beating one case. Here's the problem, though. He's got multiple cases being put on him, so he beats one, he has to beat 99 other charges. So, all right, going back to what I was saying, right? These so-called demographics of young working class men, right? These guys were not Republicans back in the days. You want to know what a Republican looked like back in the day? Think of Carlton Banks in Fresh Prince, right? That's what Republicans looked like back then. Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Clint Eastwood. You ever notice the pattern of these guys? Savachi Financial says free Ariel. You ever notice the pattern of these guys, right? Is Clint Eastwood a Republican conservative? Sure. Is Arnold Schwarzenegger a Republican conservative? Sure. But he doesn't throw it in your face. He doesn't throw it in your face. I mean, obviously, if you were going to sit down with Arnold and press him on certain issues, I'm sure that a little bit of that will come out. I remember there was this one audio clip that they caught of Arnold Schwarzenegger where he said something like, yeah, you know what? These guys, they come here to America. They have to come and assimilate. You know, when we go to Mexico and we listen to mariachi, you know, we're down there and we dance to the mariachi and we blend in with the culture. But if you come to America, you have to blend in with the culture. And so a lot of people thought this was, you know, rather racist. Now, Clint Eastwood, he's never really said anything racist ever. He's, you know, not anybody you could cancel. But man, You know, you look at the movie Gran Torino, all the anti-Asian racist jokes that he made, calling people zipper heads and things of that nature. I mean, that's, you know, that's pretty insane, right? But he, in his real life, he's not out in the open about, oh, I'm a Republican, I'm going to stick it to your face or this and that. All these new dudes that are these new age Republicans, they unfortunately, a lot of them are uneducated. Okay, and when has it been cool for Republicans to say no to college? Okay, all of a sudden they're like anti-college now. Well, okay, no wonder that a lot of you are dumb as F. Okay, because you think like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna learn everything in Google. I'm gonna learn everything in Joe Rogan's podcast, and you know, and this and that. I'm gonna be smart. Yeah, I'm smart. I don't need school. Ha ha. You know, that's the Republican mentality, the modern Republican mentality. You know, so the new Republican mentality is, oh yeah, you know, all colleges are for liberals. It's for liberal cocks, man. Yeah, that's not base. That's not base. I'm sorry, but the modern young Republican Party has turned into a bunch of dumbasses. Okay, I got no problem with the Republican Party. I got no problem with the Democrat Party. I'm just saying it like it is, and I'm telling you exactly what it is. Free Eddie Bravo. Free Robert De Niro. Savachi Financial says, no boxing, no life. Says, wait, De Niro is busted? What do you mean? Explain that. He says, we need a new party from the wokeism and Israel, Scandibigo says. You know what? Here's another thing that I noticed too, right? You want to know why Trump is going after Israel right now? Because it is so overwhelming that many of the Republicans now hate that state. They hate I don't want to mention a country's name, but you know them boys. Na 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 na. And Drake's bar mitzvah sucked. Riders and punks, money and power. It's not about East and West. It's about money and power. Riders and punks. Which side are you on? Pull out a little Tupac voice on that one. Yeah, it's all about. Man, I can't do a Tupac voice. He had a very distinct voice, man. You know, I can't do it. But anyway, so all right. What about the ringside spectacle and the cultural crossovers of all this, right? So UFC events have effectively become surrogate Trump rallies. At least this is according to many left-wing observers. Trump regularly attends high-profile fights, often walking into massive ovations alongside Dana White. These events are frequently themed with heavy American patriotism and feature the singer of the Village People's YMCA, which is crazy that Trump decided to basically use a gay anthem. Savachi Financial says, free Turkey El Sheikh. Oh man, we freeing everybody now, huh? Hey, yo, ain't none of these people are in jail though, man. You know, if anything, man, Turkey El Sheikh will send you to jail. You know what I mean? He doesn't go to jail. He sends people to jail. And yeah, okay, let's not speak on that. But anyways, yeah, so the YMCA fixture, right? Bridging the gap between conservative political rallies and sports entertainment. So, brings us to UFC Freedom 250 at the White House event, right? The connection reached an unprecedented apex, right? With, no pun intended from the apex, right? But it reached an unprecedented apex with the UFC's Freedom 250 event, which was held on the south lawn of the White House. Now, the event hosted on Trump's birthday. No surprise there. Featured an engineered, custom-built octagon stadium, often dubbed as the Claw. Now, integrated combat sports with American historical and patriotic themes. They had the whole planes and everything and all of that. This marked the first time a professional live sporting event was ever staged at the White House. Okay? So, where does this go from here? Oh, Victory. Shout out to you, Victory. Shout out to you. Savachi Financial says, no, not in the face. Scandabigo says, do a old dirty bastard voice. Oh, baby, I like it raw. Oh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, I don't know, man. He's got a very distinct voice, too. What also makes Old Dirty Bastard's voice very distinct is because he wore braces. So he kind of like he kind of has that that sound to him. I don't know. It's a very distinct sound when something in your mouth is interfering with what you're trying to say. Savachi Financial says sometimes the bars are in your mental. Sometimes the bars are in your mental. Okay. Not in your face. Got it. Okay. So, yeah, man. Where does this go from here? Where does this whole entire thing go from here? Well, obviously the UFC White House has now concluded the event is done. They're now tearing down, the claw. They're tearing down everything. People are going to complain about how the lawn is messed up. People are going to complain about how this doesn't fit into normal decency of what we know the country to be or this and that. Here's the thing, right? That's another thing I wanted to address, guys. This whole entire thing about, this is such sacred ground. I'm sorry, but as a Muslim, we don't look at it like that. It's a government building. Whoop-de-woo. All right? It's a freaking government building. That's all that it is. People have this high horse mentality about it. Oh my God, sacred ground. It's the White House, guys. How could you do that at the White House? Why not? What are you supposed to do at the White House? Like, people treat it like it's a mosque. Now, here's the thing, right? If Turkey al-Sheikh and Mohammed bin Salman decided they were going to stage, a fighting event at Mecca, oh boy. Okay, now, that is a problem. That is a problem. That is a serious problem. In fact, I think Saudi Arabia would be engulfed in flames if they were to ever do that, right? Even if you are a fighting sports fan, you would not approve of that. Not even Khabib, not even Islam, Khamzat, none of the prominent Muslim fighters, Ali Abdelaziz, none of the prominent managers, Adi Attar, none of them would be for that. In fact, they would probably join a rebel force to overthrow the government for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, people can debate and tolerate a lot from a regime, but the minute you hold, a fighting event in Mecca, you better believe that there's going to be some serious repercussions from that, because that is not going to fly with any, sane-minded Muslim. Now, the White House, that's okay. There's nothing sacred about it. Allah did not ordain that as some sort of symbolic gesture of his message to mankind. The White House is man-made, and quite frankly, it's shirk. It's polytheist of you to believe that somehow the White House is sacred ground. Savachi Financial says free Khan. Which Khan are you talking about? Are you talking about Imran Khan, the Pakistani prime minister, the former cricket player? Or are you talking about a Khan that you and I personally know in real life? Anyways, Victory says, I thought the White House card was the best sporting event I've ever seen. Well done. No political BS. I agree, man. Look, how can you write a movie like that? Undefeated European fighter taking on an American underdog. I mean, yeah, look, here's the thing about fighting sports, right? You can never match, I'm sorry, you can never critique its greatness or its lack of greatness until after the fight, okay? Because prior to this fight, prior to this White House card, what was everybody's complaint? Their whole complaint was, this card is not strong enough. What do you mean it's not strong enough? Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight, that's not a strong card. Justin Gaethje, the human highlight reel, taking on somebody like Ilya Tapora who has serious knockout power, that's not entertaining. Ayman Zahabi getting a chance to fight. I mean, that was a personal best for me. I wanted Ayman Zahabi to obviously pull off the win on that one. That wasn't the case. It is what it is, right? But, that made that exciting for me. Diego Lopez and Steve Garcia, I mean, that's a banger. These guys bring it every time. Bo Nickel against Kyle Dawkins. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, we knew what we knew about that fight, and the outcome of it, came exactly as it is. But still, who better to give a chance than the brother of a Philadelphia police officer, Kyle Dawkins, right? His brother, also a UFC fighter, Chris Dawkins as well, who's also Philadelphia police. By the way, Philadelphia police department got a lot of Muslims in their ranks, bro. They got dudes with like long beards, right, looking like Freeway and Kamzat. They look like more of a sub-Saharan, military force. They sometimes look like the Philadelphia Police Department. Scandavigo says pro-U.S. is political for the left. They are insane. He says pro-U.S. is politically for the left. They are insane. What do you mean pro-U.S.? He says Shah Rukh Khan. Oh, okay, Shah Rukh Khan. Okay. Free Diego. Free Diego Lopez. All right. Scandavigo says Maradona. What about Maradona? That's the old school soccer player from back in the days, right? Yeah, what about him? Let me know what about him. So yeah, guys, the main point of this whole entire live stream, he says, they look a bit like you. They look a bit like you. You mean? What do you mean by that, Stuart? What do you mean? They look a bit like you. You mean? What do you mean by that, Stuart? Give me some elaborative response to that, so that I can, further engage with you on this. So, Aaron MAGA says, I was raised on MAGA. When you are raised on MAGA, what do you mean by that, Aaron MAGA? Do you mean that when you were growing up, you were a teenager while Donald Trump was, coming down that escalator announcing that he was going to run for presidency? What do you mean by you were raised by MAGA? Were you in the high school Republican party or some sort, right? The high school Republican club. What are mean by that is that you have a beard and no mustache, so you look like them. Ah, yes. Okay, yes. Correct. Yes, there is a good reason why I don't have a beard and a mustache. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Oh, and looks like Stuart redacted his statement on that one. Yeah, you didn't have to redact that statement, my man. Yeah, I just wanted to, sort of know and understand what you meant by what you said, just so I can, sort of get a better feel into what you're talking about. But anyways, yeah. So, what else? What else is going on here? Let's talk about UFC 329. Obviously, that was another subject that I wanted to discuss on this one. We talked about the Josh Hokit versus Obama lawsuit update. We found out that there is nothing to come out of that. We also talk about why the UFC can't be leveraged, right? I mean, think about this, right? Let me elaborate on this a little bit more, right? Conor McGregor throwing a dolly in a bus. Sean Strickland saying all types of things literally every week. Nothing. People getting arrested. Nothing. Even as far down as guys in the prelims. How about Cedric Dumas, right? If you guys know anything about Cedric Dumas, the dude that trains out in Florida. By the way, a homie of mine, Savachi Financial, knows who this guy is. Idris Wasi, the bare knuckle BKFC fighter, a homie of mine, a guy that I've trained with, for over the years, a guy that I still train with to this day. Was a training partner of Cedric Dumas. Anyway, Cedric Dumas caught like some domestic charges or whatever, and the UFC, has done nothing to him. Bearded Viking Woodworks. Oh, snap. Bearded Viking Woodworks. Man, shout outs to you, my man. All right, man. We got some legit channels up in here, showing support to your boy, man. Shout outs to the Bearded Viking King Woodwork, man. Shout outs to you, man, with 288,000 subscribers worldwide, man. So, shout outs to you, my man. I'm so happy that you are here. And by the way, I remember you came here when we were talking about how Paramount was destroying, UFC forever. So I remember, yeah, you had came here, and yeah, man, shout out to you, my man. Shout out to the bearded Viking King. I love it when big time YouTubers come up here to my channel and show support, man. I only hope to get to the level that you're at, right? Dubs yesterday. Dubs, the Mexican Southsider Dubs came here, shouted out my channel. On point, point and shoot. The guy who, by the way, is ops with Adam 22, right? Sacramento hip hop, a YouTuber came on here, gave me a shout out. Jesse on Fire, gave me a shout out. Jesse on Fire gave me $20 on on a live chat. So yeah, man, I'm honored every time I got guys like you that pop up in here. So everybody give a warm welcome to Bearded Viking Woodworks King, and yeah, salute to his channel. He says book Jesse on Fire. Yeah. And then there it is, right? One of my moderators doesn't like Jesse on Fire. He says boo. But hey, it's all good. That's what this channel is about. There's guys that don't like him. There's friends of mine that don't like Jesse on Fire. There's moderators of mine that don't like Jesse on Fire. But listen, by the end of the day, I'm a West Coast dude, and West Coast dudes are probably one of the most loyal people when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to streets, or when it comes to overall loyalty in that regard, right? And Jesse on Fire, Dubs, the bearded Viking King Woodworks has been loyal to me, and as such, I'm going to show loyalty back to them, right? Just like Trump, this is what Trump does. Right, the UFC shows loyalty to him, and what does he do? He rewards them, well, essentially rewarding himself with, a free fight in his backyard, right? So, yeah. So, you just kind of wanted to elaborate on that. Victory says, biggest MMA poser. Okay, when you're talking about Jesse on Fire, what makes Jesse on Fire an MMA poser? Is it because he's never competed before that, that sort of makes him like that? I mean, okay, yes. Okay, so I see what you're saying. All right. Does it help that he's a jiu-jitsu black belt? Does it help that he's a jiu-jitsu black belt? Does that give him or is just jiu-jitsu, completely a different entity outside of MMA, even though it's part of the single compository sports that deal with MMA, right? Because look, being a black belt in jiu-jitsu is no joke. Now, that's also just indicative of the fact that you are able to pay your monthly on a regular basis. Because look, the reason why most guys that have grappled for a long time and haven't been moving up the ranks and belts is because they just don't have the proper money to pay a jiu-jitsu instructor, but for whatever reason they still maintain grappling. That's sort of what I've done, right? Speaking of Idris Wasi, the bare knuckle fighter that I mentioned earlier, he said that, how he would get a lot of grappling training, this was when he was still fighting MMA, was that he would go to consistently to open mats. Okay, this gym has an open mat, boom, I'm going to go pull up and get some rounds in. And I would do the same thing, right? If there's any open workouts or any, open sessions, that's how I would go and, and get some training done. But you don't earn a belt that way because you consistently have to stay with one instructor that is monitoring your progress, right? And I think that's just how jiu-jitsu goes. Victory says, I don't think he's actually a black belt and he's just your typical short douche with an ego. He is though. Look, I have to be, honest and put paint, and not put paint where it ain't, right? He is a legitimate black belt. He's been training for years under the Gracies out here in Northern California. And then he continued to progress himself. I think he was already a black belt before he moved out of Northern California. So before he moved out of Northern California, he was already a black belt, and then he moved to another jiu-jitsu school and just, started training there. So yeah, he is a legitimate black belt, but says he's not a black belt. Okay, so you don't think he? I mean, look, it's hard to fake that, right? He's lucky to be a blue belt. Yeah, dude, I think now, striking wise, I don't know. I've never seen Jesse strike. I've seen Jesse grapple. Okay, he's got decent grappling. He says you can look it up. He's not a black belt. Are you sure, or am I thinking about somebody else? Maybe I'm thinking about another buddy of mine that's a short white dude who's, I don't know, man. A lot of you short white dudes look alike. You know what I mean? Not a problem for you, Marty, obviously, because you're a tall white man, so it's not a problem that you have. So there it is, right? Marty hates short white men. Marty hates short white men. You're racist against short white men. He says, yeah, I just looked. Okay. So then I'm thinking about somebody else. Okay, so all right, but he does grapple regularly, right? Okay, so in that case, I can kind of see and understand why you say that. He says, I don't have any belts because I've only done gi a few times. Okay, and that's another thing I wanted to mention too, right? You literally have to be in a gi to get a belt, right? Even if you're just grappling in normal rash guards all day, or just grappling in a shirt, or grappling, with your shirt off or something like that, it doesn't count unless you train with Jake Shields. Jake Shields actually gives you a black belt if you show up for training, whether it's gi or no gi. Jiu-jitsu instructors have this weird thing of like, we're not going to give you a belt unless you show up with a gi, but it's like, how many gi classes has Islam Makhachev, Khabib, and Omar been taken, right? I mean, they're probably better grapplers than the average black belt that you would see out of a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu academy, right? You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you Khabib, Islam, and and Omar Nurmagomedov could probably submit a whole rows of black belts in a row in a gauntlet situation, right? One after another. One guy gets submitted. They could probably run through like 10 black belts, and these guys never put on a gi. He says, Jake gives you a black belt if you pay him, Scandabigo says. Well, going back to the Moneyberg situation, right? Look, here's the thing about Moneyberg, right? This is going to sound unbelievable to a lot of you guys, but I actually believe in his black belt that Jake Shields gave him. All right? I trust Jake Shields. I trust Jake Shields' assessment. A lot of you don't know this, but I've known Jake Shields prior to all this, anti-Israel stuff, right? Now, him having a lot of, Arab friends and having a manager who's an Arab man probably helped, create some of his decisions as becoming this, top anti-Israeli guy. Sure. But prior to that, Jake Shields was a legitimate black belt, okay? Was a legitimate grappler, one of the best grapplers in the world. I trust what he did when he gave Moneyberg his black belt. Savachi Financial says Idris Wasi is powered by Savachi. There you go, man. There it is. Scandabigo says Jake is stupid. Jake is far from stupid. To be quite honest with you, Jake is he's a very intelligent man. You know what I mean? Jake is a very intelligent man. You know what I mean? Yeah, very intelligent white man. So, I don't know what to tell you. Scandibigo says Jesse on fire is a wannabe Chael. Well, there it is. Victory, do you agree with Savachi Financial's assessment here? Because I know how you feel about Jesse on fire. Do you agree with his assessment that Jesse on fire is a wannabe Chael? He's a Chael echo chamber. Huh, okay. Yes, little munchkin Chael. Little munchkin Chael. Look at you calling people little munchkins. Bro, not everybody could be, 6'3", like you and Sabachi. You know what I mean? Like, he says, Shinda, what is that? He's tiny, bro. Yeah, he is. Chad's to shids. Oh, okay, Chad's to shids. Got it, got it. Okay, short, okay, short white dude. Got it, got it. Got it. Short white dude. Okay, so that's what, okay, that's what you're describing him as, a short white dude. Yeah, yeah. But you listen, man. I'm loyal to who I'm loyal to. The man, shows love to the channel. So, I'm not gonna try to beat him up too bad here. So, you guys can, but he says, and I lost all respect for him when I saw him do the whole video talking about street fights and how many women. What a nerd. This is in regards to Jesse. Jesse brags about that. That's quite a weird flex. Of Jesse to do that. Street fights, yes. You know what? That's not that far fetched, really. If you grew up in Northern California, you're gonna have a lot of street fights, in your hands. That's just a given. Gi fundamentalist Savachi Financial says. Savachi Financial says, does Eddie give you a gi? He does judo and jujitsu. He rocks a gi. Yes, Eddie from the Dean Show does do gi jujitsu. So, Victory says, I don't know if it's something he does all the time, but f him, going on and on about it. Okay. Victory says he's a poser. If Sambo was easy, it would be called jiu-jitsu. There it is. There it is, right? And that's sort of the debate that is going on, right? Look, if you have a good wrestling background, you only need to learn about 50% of jiu-jitsu. And by that 50%, I mean being able to transition from full guard to half guard to side control to half guard on the other side of the leg, being able to posture up while you're on full mount position, being able to hip escape if somebody is on top of you. That's 50% of jiu-jitsu. In other words, the basics of jiu-jitsu. The basics of jiu-jitsu, along with the complex years and years of wrestling experience that somebody has, will always be superior than somebody who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And that's been proven plenty of times over and over again. It's been proven plenty of times over and over again, not just in the grappling world, okay, straight grappling, no punches and kicks, but also in the MMA world. Aaron MAGA says, who wins, me or Vanderlei? Well, I don't know what you look like, Aaron MAGA, right? You would have to, I guess I would have to, sort of give you, I don't know, but if you're in any decent shape at all, or have any type of basic fundamentals in your skills, you would probably beat Vanderlei right now because Vanderlei is so shot, right? So I'll go with you. If you, assuming you have some basic knowledge of fighting, I'll go with you. You know what I mean? Victory says, agreed. You've seen that in current MMA, there's hardly any subs anymore. There you go, right? Because people are now, and that's the thing, just jiu-jitsu defense is sufficient enough, especially if you have wrestling skills like Bo Nickel or Khabib. Victory says people know enough to stop jiu-jitsu, correct. Victory says, well, you look like a guy that always has the piece on you, Aaron, so I'd pick you. Okay, well, there you go. That's also another factor too, right? You know, a guy that has something on him. Yeah, he'll win the fight every time, right? Aaron Maga with the laughing emoji. Scandabigo says Musamechi versus Bryce. BJJ, Musamechi will not pull guard or use leg locks. Who wins? Bryce Mitchell. If you're talking about how he can't pull guard and use leg locks, yeah, Bryce Mitchell all day. Look, imagine, right? I saw Uriah Faber grapple somebody in England. He says, "Do you ever carry? Do you ever carry Kyrie? Carry? What do you mean carry? Like fireman's carry? Do I use a fireman's carry?" He says, "Leg locks are pretty gay. You know what, man? There was once canceled carry. Do you canceled carry? Conceal. Conceal carry. Do I conceal carry? Of course, man. It's Cali. Um. Uh. What was I saying? Oh yeah, with the Bryce Mitchell thing, right? Yeah, Bryce Mitchell would win all day. Oh, okay. You know what I was saying with Uriah Faber. I saw him grapple this English BJJ phenomenon, right? One of my buddies from England, Lee Remedios, was also in that card as well, right? He competed in that card. Well, anyways, man, it was combat jiu-jitsu. You're allowed to slap, right? Uriah took this guy down, just slapping him the whole time. And the whole time, all the guy was doing was just pulling guard. And they gave the decision to Uriah's opponent. All because he was just pulling guard the whole entire time. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was on Fight Pass. One of Uriah's grappling tournaments that he entered, right? Fighting some like 19-year-old English kid. He was a phenomenon, like basically the British version of Musamechi, right? Yeah, won the whole entire thing, just pulling guard the whole entire time. And of course Uriah is a natural wrestler. He's gonna want to take you underground. And so, instead of making it look like that Uriah took him down, he just pulled guard straight away. He says, "Yo, can you say hi to Mr. Muckless?" Okay, well, hello, Mr. Muckless. Is that who you are? Okay, hello. Shout out to you. John Dong says, "Exactly. I was telling so many people it was a good card before the event." One of the worst grappling matches was Shaw versus Cyborg. I do remember that. Yes, I remember that vividly. I remember more of the press conference than I do the actual matchup itself, because I remember Brendan Schaub went to a press conference afterwards and and had mentioned that. He says Schaub said he gave him the Schaub shutdown, aka didn't engage at all. Schaub said that he gave him the Schaub shutdown, didn't engage at all. That's, man, you know what? That's kind of what you got to do with these grapplers, right? Because if you think about it, how do you fight them in MMA? Well, you got to do exactly that, right? Don't engage them at all, right? Keep the distance, right? Keep it, jabbing and moving. That's essentially what all that is about. That's how you fight grapplers in MMA, and yeah. Scandabigo says, "Yo, can you say hi to Mr. Austrian Painter? How do you like them apples? You trying to catch me on that one, huh? You're trying to catch me slipping. Ooh, boy, you trying to catch me slipping on that one." Talking about, can you say Mr. Austrian Painter? You wild for that. All right, man. So, let's see. So, what else is going on here? Let me see here. Oh yeah. The Conor McGregor, Holloway fight. The Conor McGregor Holloway fight. That's what I wanted to talk about. What do you guys think? Right? Is Conor McGregor going to win this one? I heard Chael Sonnen say on the video the other day, right? He said something to the effect of, He said something to the effect of, as the time gets closer, we're now starting to understand that maybe Conor McGregor is not going to win this, right? The hype, the comeback, the anticipation, the fact that it's Conor McGregor, you're saying to yourself, wow, this is awesome. This is great. Conor McGregor is coming back to fight, right? So the excitement gives you a false sense of understanding what is going to happen. In other words, this hype is making you think that he's got a chance, but the reality is he's been out for 5 years. The hype and the fact that we haven't seen Conor McGregor in a while, and the fact that he's one of the most highly anticipated athletes to watch in the UFC, gives us this sense of hope that, man, if he wins, we're going to get another one, another good night of Islam Makhachev versus Conor McGregor, of Conor McGregor versus Ian Gary, potentially if Ian Gary wins, of Conor McGregor versus Justin Gaethje, right? Life is just better with Conor McGregor winning. So our minds are playing tricks on us, not realizing Conor McGregor is coming off of serious injury, right? And if you want to know how this injury is going to affect him after the fact, I need you to take a look at Chris Weidman and how that worked out for him. Okay? And how does it work out for anybody who's been out for a very long time? Gina Carano, a classic example of that. Royce Gracie, when he came back to fight Matt Hughes in 2006, they dubbed it as the old school guy versus the modern mixed martial arts fighter. And how did that end up? That ended up with Royce Gracie having his back taken, with Matt Hughes punching him right up top. Okay, and could have easily submitted him and humiliated him further with a rear naked choke. Victory says, LOL, yeah, with the Austrian painter comment. Victory says, did you talk about Pereira's appearance? Pereira's appearance, in regards to what? Victory says, where he got pissed off because he didn't want to take pictures, so he left. Aaron Mega says, I believe Holloway will send Conor back into retirement. Victory says, how do you think Conor is going to fight? Any chances he brings back his old karate style? It doesn't look good. I don't think, you know what? I'm hoping that's the Conor that we see, right? I always say the best Conor McGregor is the Venice Beach Conor McGregor. All right? Look at the way that he trained in Venice Beach, the movement, everything, right? You know, I have a picture of me in Venice Beach, the very same Venice Beach that he used to train at, right? You know, these iconic, Muscle Beach, you know, where they have the little swings and the rope and everything, you know, where you can show off your physical fitness and things of that nature. Yeah, man, when Conor McGregor was training at, let me see if I can pull up a picture of me in Venice Beach. Very interesting stuff here. So let me see here. There we go, right here. Yeah. Look at that. So that's me rope climbing right there in Venice Beach. Yeah. So Conor McGregor used to train here, right? You know, in the beaches of Venice Beach. Okay. Yeah. So let me see if I can pull up some videos of Conor McGregor training at Venice Beach. So yeah, always remember Venice Beach, Conor McGregor. Venice Beach. Oh, he's in Venice Beach right now, actually. Let's see if there's any new footages of that. Wow, okay. Wow, Fightland. 11 years ago. 11 years ago, he was featured in Fightland. What is this about? Okay, let's check this out. Vice Sports from 11 years ago.
I know. That's crazy. And there's really no excuse anymore to have...
How about this, guys? Look, we're going to go back in time right here. Let me read some of these comments. The reason, oh, by the way, Victory, the reason why I don't think he's going to bring back that karate style is because when I'm looking at his training, it's not indicative of that. Or is he just going to rely on power and try to that's what it is. He's going to try to sit down on those shots. He feels a lot bigger, a lot stronger in 170, so he's going to be even more susceptible to focusing on that particular end of his game. Aaron MAGA says Conor was way better at 45. At 70, I believe he's too heavy and will gas out quick. Victory agrees with you. I may have to agree with you on that as well. Scandabigo says a mental breakdown. Alex will never be the same. John said it best. If you can own it, you can lose it. You can come back. John talking about the difference between Ilya and Alex. Okay, so I'll talk about Alex Pereira after I get done with this. All right, let's show you Conor McGregor 11 years ago in the 3-minute documentary of Fightland Vice Sports, right? Fightland Vice Sports 11 years ago. This was Conor McGregor 11 years ago, guys.
Sweep for the Irish. I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over. Ladies and gentlemen, the notorious Conor McGregor. The Irish passion for fighting comes from a long history of battle. We have a troubled nation. We fought for our independence. We fought for...
Look at that, guys. Muscle Beach, USA right there, all right? This is where athletes are made right here, is Muscle Beach, USA.
For our freedom. I know my ancestors and my bloodline is on the battlefield. They were doing it riding a horse with a sword, swinging an axe. I'm doing it in the middle of the octagon. I know I'm on the right path.
Man, Venice Beach,
the
boys.
Martial artist is a peaceful man. When you grow up where I'm from, you get into fights. Being able to defend myself was always something that occupied a lot of my mind. It occupied all of my mind, to be honest.
Look at LA, guys. Look at the beauty of LA, right? And this was 10 years ago, by the way, right? So, yeah, LA was even more beautiful and more cracking back in the days than it is now.
Now, my obsession is movement. The more movements you can have your body make, the more your opponent...
Okay, so now, this is the reason why. This is the reason why I'm showing you guys this, and in reference to when Victory was asking, is he going to bring back that old karate style? This is the Conor that we need. This is the Conor that fought Max Holloway.
He's forced into reacting off what you are creating, you know what I mean? It doesn't give him a chance to...
See, I like how he implements this BMX biker in this whole entire conversation about movement as well, right? Because, as you know, BMX bikers, skaters, and X-Game extreme sports guys, they have the best coordination and the best balance when it comes to this, right? So learning from their movement, showing their movement, and also featuring their movement into this documentary, I think is really genius in and of itself.
Create his own movement. Become obsessed with these Cirque du Soleil guys. I mean, that is phenomenal movement. The movements they do and the control they have over their body and watch how they train. I'm looking for all ways that the human body can move. That's what I think. I'm not even a mixed martial artist. I feel like I am a master of movement. And I swear to God, every time I go down to that Venice Beach, I learn something new. Last time I was here, I met 2 homeless. And I swear to God, every time I go down to that Venice Beach, I learn something new.
He says every time he goes to Venice Beach, he learns something new. Okay, so do you guys now understand what I mean when I say Venice Beach Conor McGregor, right? What do I mean when I say Venice Beach Conor McGregor? I literally mean this. This is literally what I mean when I say Venice Beach Conor McGregor. When he went down to Venice Beach, what did he learn? He looked at bodybuilders. He looked at guys that were on skateboards. He looked at guys that were playing basketball in the courts, right? And you know, guys in the basketball courts, they do all types of shook and jive type of movements, right? That really enhances a person's whole entire coordination, their whole entire um, dexterity, all of these things, right? He learned all of this in Venice Beach, and you know what better place than the beaches of California to really express your body's full potential. So let's get back to what he's talking about here.
Last time I was here, I met two homeless people. Two homeless people sleeping on the edge of the beach. And I was doing muscle-ups at the time. And I was only learning how to do the muscle-ups. And this homeless guy came over and taught me this little tiny detail in the use of momentum. This little tiny detail.
Can you believe that? Conor McGregor was taught by a homeless man in Venice Beach how to do this one little movement. He says touch butt in the park was actually really good for Conor. You think, right? Like, yo, that's crazy to say, but it's true. It's true. Look at this, right? Think about this, right? Number one, he said that he learned how to do a certain movement from a homeless person, right? What is that called? That's called humility. George St. Pierre used to say that I learned from everyone, including white belts. He even learned how to do a spinning back kick from Joe Rogan, right? And obviously, the people don't really think about it, but Joe Rogan can teach you a whole lot of things. And then here's Conor McGregor learning particular certain movements from a homeless person.
Yeah, and it allowed me to get these muscle-ups like that, like it was nothing. Two homeless guys on Venice Beach taught me that. What the fuck is that? Like two homeless men, you know what I mean? Venice is the right kind of crazy. It's like a fucking Cirque du Soleil. It's like a Cirque du Soleil. That's why I believe I'm excelling in this game, because I'm unorthodox. I'm trying.
There it is, right there. Look at that. Look at that. The spinning tornado kick. By the way, as you know, one of my favorite kicks to throw. Right? Oh man, I'm telling you. You know what? Listen, Conor McGregor is back in Venice Beach right now. By the way, right? He is in LA. As of this moment, he is training in California, so he's going back and forth from LA to Las Vegas, right? He's going to take that 4-hour drive from the city of Los Angeles all the way to Las Vegas, head east into Las Vegas during fight week, right? So very similar to what he did back in the days during the Chad Mendes fight, the Nate Diaz fight, so on and so forth. Scandavigo says Conor will be stationary versus Max like Ilya. Correct. Correct. This is not the same Conor McGregor that we see. But take a look at this, man. You know, Venice Beach. He said he learned all of this in Venice Beach, and I think he's going back there again. So let's hear what he had to say about Venice Beach right here. By the way, I've been to this skate park as well. There's always people skating there every day. Pro skaters, all types of people. People that you probably didn't even know are like millionaire skaters that are busting down over here.
It's like a fucking Cirque du Soleil. This beach taught me that. What the fuck is that? Like two homeless men, you know what I mean? Venice is the right kind of crazy. It's like a fucking
Venice is the right kind of crazy, he said.
Cirque du Soleil. It's like a Cirque du Soleil. That's why I believe I'm excelling in this game, because I'm unorthodox. I'm throwing everything on the kitchen sink at my opponent. My name McGregor is synonymous with battle. I know my ancestors and my bloodline is on the battlefield. You know what I mean? I know I was put here to do this. That inspires me. I'm the best. I'm the pound for pound. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to obliterate this whole division.
Wow. 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 That is the Conor McGregor that I get excited for. That is a Conor McGregor that all of Ireland was excited for, but not anymore. All right, man, who is that guy? Who is that guy? Where is that guy? Where is that guy? We need that guy back for next week. That's the guy that we need to come back for next week, is that guy. Okay? That's the Conor McGregor that we need. You know, I got to tell you, there is something about Los Angeles, there is something about California that increases your energy levels. Ever since I moved to California, I became an athlete in ways that I never would have imagined living in Jersey. Okay. And this is not a knock on Jersey or anything. It's just that the vibration out here is different. All right. The vibration out here is show me what you got. Show me what you could do. And you guys see that when I go to the gym, when I do my workouts, when I film my workout sessions and things of that nature. That's literally what I do, right? Show me, show you, show me to show you, right? I mean, people will call it show off or showing off or this and that. To me, I call it displaying your expression. This land of California, I think, has that type of power. It has that type of power with musicians, but I also think that it has that same power with fighters. I always say the best fighters are the ones that know how to be a rock star, but also know how to be a soldier. And what do I mean by that? A soldier, you have to be able to have discipline, be on time when you need to, finish the tasks that you need to check on your checklist, right? The boxes on your checklist. That's what a soldier does. They check boxes. They do the things that they need to do. They stick to a routine and they stick to a plan and a strategy. That is a soldier. A rock star. Why do you need to be a rock star to be a fighter? You need to be able to create. You need to be able to create art. And in order to create art, you need to have a mind that is free, a mind that is geared towards expressions, right? Having an open space for expression with no limits, and being able to create unorthodox, unconventional, never before seen innovations. So you need to have both. You need to have discipline, but you also need to have innovations. And that is what I mean when I say that in order to be an elite fighter, and also an elite fighter that is entertaining, because you got to add the personality into your fighting expressions as well. Okay, that is the perfect combination. A soldier and a rock star. Humble Man says, Assalamu alaikum. He says, hey, Kyrie, just got done with my morning routine. How's life, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you as well, man. Good to see you as well. Doing really good. Scandavigo says, Max will KO Conor with Dwitchag? With a Dwitchag? Explain what that is. Yeah, so... All right, so yeah, that's Conor McGregor for you, man. Are we going to see that version of Conor McGregor in the near future, which is next week? Only time will tell, but we know what Conor McGregor needs to do, and what Conor McGregor absolutely needs to do is exactly that. He needs to go out there and do what took him to the dance. He says, what about Patty versus BSD? You know what? I will be doing a full card prediction on after, maybe even during the 4th of July, right? Maybe after or before. Yeah, maybe just before, during or after 4th of July. I'm going to do a live stream regarding UFC 329. Full card breakdown and all. You know, it's just that this particular segment of the live stream right now, we're just focusing on Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. But BSD and Patty, great, right? Because if Patty wins, hey, you're throwing yourself up there as a potential Conor McGregor opponent, right? Does BSD have a chance to win? I think I favor him to win, honestly. But I've also seen Patty choke out a bunch of Marines down in San Diego. All right, one after another, a gauntlet. But then when they went on the runs and they did, you know, the physical conditioning stuff, I mean, obviously the Marines were blowing Paddy Pimblett, by the way, a fat version of Paddy Pimblett, out the water, right? They were outrunning him. You know, they were, outpacing him. But when they got to the mat, I mean, you know, it was clear that Paddy was the pro fighter in the room. You know what I mean? Just choking out like 10 Marines one row after another, right? Choking out one Marine after another. It's like, God damn, man. You know what I mean? Like, but after seeing that, I was like, you know what? I could see Patty do that to another military personnel, which is BSD. Here's the thing about military guys, though, right? Um, a lot of them, fight kind of stiff because a lot of them never really learned how to fight outside of the military. Like they learned like Marine Corps martial arts, but prior to that, they never took a karate class or went to do jiu-jitsu or did any wrestling or anything like that. Juice Man says 14, what up? My man, 14, what up? 14, what up? Yeah, obviously that is in reference to the Norteños. Shout out to the Norteños out there, all the Norteño homies in the on the West Coast. Obviously, they're only in the West Coast, but yeah, was with around some Norteños during that Lowrider live stream. He says one more week. Yes, one more week before Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. And, we were showing some old videos of Conor McGregor back in the days. Okay, so I wanted to cover Alex Pereira, right? What is going on with Alex Pereira and the scandal that he had going on with, with the seminar scandal. What is going on with this, right? So, okay, so the recent controversy surrounding Alex Pereira's UK seminar was caused by an internal miscommunication, all right? So I need you guys to understand all of these things that happened with Alex Pereira. It was an internal miscommunication by event organizers completely clearing the UFC star of any wrongdoing, all right? Okay, so the backlash. In late June 2026, fans who attended Pereira's seminar at, I believe it was in Keighley, England, right? Initially misreported as London by some social media. Okay, so there it is, right? It was misreported. So we're talking about a seminar in Keighley, England, right? But it was misreported as being in London. So for those of you that, let's say, are in Los Angeles, it's like saying that we're going to have a seminar in Riverside, but you're saying Los Angeles. But where in Los Angeles? Are you talking about downtown? Are you talking about South Central? Are you talking about Orange County, which is not LA? So you can kind of understand the miscommunication here, right? So there was a lot of expressed intense frustration online by the fans. Attendees, in particular, who purchased premium tickets, complained that Alex cut the seminar short and refused to sign autographs and declined individual photo opportunities during what was advertised as a paid meet and greet. You got to imagine the type of stress that his team now has to deal with. So the organizers' clarification: following a wave of online criticism directed at Pereira's tour events organizer, they issued a statement taking full responsibility of the incident. Excuse me, taking full responsibility of the incident. This was according to Yahoo Sports, right? The scope of work. Joy Gear clarified that Pereira was explicitly told he was booked for a 1-hour seminar, which he completed in full. Now, the lack of notice. The agency confirmed that Pereira was never informed that the autographs, individual photo sessions, or extra meet and greet deliverables were being advertised to fans. So, what is the verdict and the solution and the resolution to all this, right? The verdict is that the organizers explicitly stated that Alex Pereira was not at fault, noting that he was neither late nor uncooperative. And obviously there were different accounts of all of these things going on. So the resolution: to make amends of the logistical breakdown, Joy Gear announced that they would issue a full refund to all affected meet and greet ticket holders in the seminars and the attendees who did not receive the promise of fan interaction. The remainder of the UK tour proceeded as scheduled. Okay, so they're back to schedule doing what it is that they do. So that is basically the reality of what is going on here. So Juice Man says Pereira's been on some ish lately. Well, all right. You were saying that before I was saying saying, you know, going on with the monologue that I was going on. After I just explained that, what do you think now, Juice Man? Do you still feel the same way? Do you still feel like it was a miscommunication, or does this clarify more things for you? Humble Man says, I heard about this story, Kyrie. I'm just glad the fans got a refund. Yeah, man. You know, it's look. Here's something you guys have to understand, right? MMA fighters and famous people in general, they go through so many different things in a day, and you never hear about it because it's just really as simple as just, you know, whatever, X, Y, and Z, right? You know, for example, you know, the other day, you know, I got into a little bit of a fender bender or whatever, right? But you guys don't know about it, right? It didn't affect my day. You know, obviously I called my insurance. You know, it wasn't, you know, the worst accident in the world, and then life goes on, right? You know, it's just one of those small little mishaps that you wouldn't know about unless, of course, I would, you know, have to explain it to you in trying to, you know, convey, you know, a sort of a message or some sort of like comparison to what Alex Pereira has gone through. So it's not indicative of the fact that he got hit in the head so hard that he now doesn't want to be around fans and now he's agitated, or because he's angry about a loss or this and that. No. If anything, Alex Pereira is on a victory tour whether he lost this fight or not, because he got paid $10 million for this fight. He fought at the White House, not the outcome that he wanted, but by the end of the day, Alex Pereira is far from the guy who works at the tire shop. So that in and of itself is a win. But yes, I'm glad that they got the refund. Humble Man says Alex screwed himself and being so loyal to the UFC, signing a 7 to 8 fight deal is not a great look at 37. This is the deal that they wanted Daniel Cormier to have in the latter stages of his career. And of course, Daniel Cormier wanted one more. You know, he wanted another one, and he threatened to retire, right? And obviously, they brought him back to fight Stipe, only for Stipe to beat him. I think peak DC should have been when he knocked out Stipe in 2018, and then rode off into the sunset, right? Alex Pereira, just like Daniel Cormier, found his prime. Well, at least a prime in MMA, right? I'm sure he's had already his prime past in kickboxing, but he reached his prime of MMA at a very older age, right? And then he reached his superstardom at, you know, at a much older age. So they want to be able to squeeze as much out of him on this one. Now, 7 to 8 fights, is that impossible to do? Maybe not, right? You know, he has 8 more fights, 7 more fights to go, and I would imagine he's going to go on a losing streak on this one if he doesn't decide which weight class he's going to go into. So, yeah. But this is a UFC for you in a nutshell, right? Nobody is bigger than the program. And that's sort of the main theme of this whole entire title of the live stream, right? Nobody in the UFC is bigger than the program. And that right there is something that the UFC wants you to know. They want you to know that when you're coming off of a loss. Okay, well, how are we going to negotiate this fight next? Well, you just came off of a loss. You know what? We can't really give you anything that is of you know, leverage value to you. Okay, well, the same thing if you are you know, renegotiating your contract with a win. With a win, they're going to say, well, you know what? You didn't put up the type of numbers that we were looking for. You didn't put up the type of views and the type of yeah. You know, that just you just didn't, you know, give enough. You didn't give enough that that we need, right? You didn't put up enough numbers. You didn't garner enough views. You didn't garner enough pay-per-view you know, revenues. So we're going to give you this much, and that's just how it is, man. You know, they want the 3 letters to always be bigger than the actual fighters themselves. Okay? And that is the reason why no fighters can ever be held accountable for anything that they say. This is the reason why they don't ever, hassle fighters or make fighters, have this, I don't know, like PR friendly type of approach. Um, Humble Man says, and he's a heavyweight. He's in the heavyweight division too, which power will always play a factor. Correct. Victory says, I don't know why Alex is in such denial. In such denial in terms of what exactly? Elaborate for me what you mean. Humble Man says, I agree with your point, Kyrie. Kind of how Robert Whitaker Carter is banning out. I'm worried for him going to light heavy. Oh, okay, yes, okay. So basically, the weight change, right? Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of heavyweights that Alex Pereira could beat. Right? He's not a real heavyweight. It's not natural for him to carry all that weight. It's not his natural body composition. In fact, he's kind of forcing his body composition to get bigger. So you're not going to have the same speed as Brock Lesnar is going to have at 265 if you were to be 265. Victory says, I think Gunn beats him 9 times out of 10 if they fought. Yes. It's just a bad matchup. Correct. Oh, he says, career, not Carter. Okay, got it. Okay. So I'll read that again with the proper correction on that one. I agree with your point, Kyrie. Kind of how Robert Whitaker's career is banning out. I'm worried for him to go up to light heavyweight. Okay. Yeah, it seems Robert may be too small for light heavyweight. So here's the thing, right? Robert has a lot of speed, right? He can offer a lot of speed at the light heavyweight division. So as a result of that, is it really the same as Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight? Because yeah, like moving up a weight is only bad if you don't have the speed to go along with it. He says, yeah, Robert seems too small for a light heavyweight. Alex should have just fought in the 230s. Correct. I think he was obsessed with power, right? Look, you already have power. Here's another thing, right? You don't need that much power to knock somebody out. In fact, the right punch, a toddler can knock you out with the right punch, especially if you don't see it. So something to think about. Scandivigo says Alex was never fast like Izzy. Izzy would do better in heavyweight. Humble Man says, how is Ank versus Roundtree going to go in your opinion? Ank versus Roundtree. I got Ankalaev on that one. I think that Ankalaev has more tricks up his sleeve. Obviously, Roundtree is, the classical Muay Thai fighter, right? But with that classic Muay Thai, is that going to translate into mixed martial arts? And that is often the question that we have with Khalil Roundtree, right? He has this obsession with Muay Thai, the Thai culture, and things of that nature. But by the end of the day, you're a mixed martial artist, and somebody like Ankalaev, I think, is going to have your number on that end. So, with that in mind, guys, listen. That is about the 2-hour mark that we just hit on this live stream right now. I want to thank everybody for popping up for this live stream. Did a whole 2 hours. Sometimes I come in here, I do maybe like 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and then sometimes I just go a little bit longer than that, right? 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. This one was a 2-hour live stream, a little recap on what we talked about today. We talked about why the UFC will never be canceled, right? You could never leverage the UFC. You could never make the UFC beg for sponsorships or anything like that. They have a strong fan base and a group of people that will support them no matter what. And that is the reason why they act like the way that they do and why they don't punish the athletes the way that they should. Josh Hokit versus Obama lawsuit. There is no lawsuit going on with that. We talked about Conor McGregor's return, the type of fighter we are expecting as opposed to the type of fighter that he is now. Scandivigo says Roundtree have the same head movement like Ronda. There you go, right? This is not going to be good for him. Humble Man says, thank you for your time, Kyrie. And then we also started off the stream with a 3-round boxing session. I know I go a little bit longer than that, but obviously, we just got to go with, what time permits. So, yeah. And then what else? We also, a little bit of a bonus. We talked about Alex Pereira and the scandal of the seminar. Nothing really came out of that, but obviously, in the world of MMA news cycles, you got to watch your P's and Q's, because these people out here are waiting for you to fail, are waiting for you to do something wrong so that they can make a video about it. And Scandabigo says, make another rap. All right. And we're going to go on a little bit of an outro here. So, bum, bum. Here we go. West Coast. Yeah. Drop that beat on him. Straight out the West Coast. Straight out the West Coast. We got the best blows, yeah. I'm about to let that tech blow right in your face. Get out of my space. Just like that, we done. You can't keep up with his pace. We out of here. West Coast, baby. West Coast forever.